Today, we're diving into the life of a true musical legend, but maybe not in the way you'd expect. We're going to experience it all through the incredible, powerful words of Shane Koyczan's poem, Beethoven. And let me tell you, it's a raw, emotional portrait of a genius like you've never heard before. So the poem kicks off with just one word, a single command, listen. That's it. But it's so direct, it just grabs you immediately. It's a really powerful start, and as we're about to see, it's also deeply, deeply ironic. And this right here, this is the heart of it all. It's the central paradox of Beethoven's entire life. I mean, can you imagine? You compose some of the most moving, profound music in all of human history, but you can't even hear your own masterpieces. It's the ultimate tragedy for a musician, and it's absolutely crucial for understanding his story. So, to get the man, you've really got to understand the child he was first. And his childhood, well, it was anything but happy. It was a brutal, brutal environment where he was in a constant struggle just to feel accepted in his own home. The poem doesn't pull any punches when it talks about Beethoven's father. It says, some men drink, some men yell, some men hit their children. Yeah, his dad, he did all three. He was an alcoholic, constantly angry, and physically abusive. Just a perfect storm of torment that basically defined his son's entire world. You know, there was no such thing as unconditional love for young Beethoven. In his house, things we take for granted, like mercy, kindness, compassion, they weren't just given away. No, they were things you had to earn. And the price? Perfection. Perfection at the piano. So you can just picture him, right? Desperately trying to please his father, trying to earn just a tiny bit of that mercy. He tried everything. He changed his technique, just hoping, praying he'd find the one thing that would finally be good enough. First, he tried playing slowly. But the response was always the same. This phrase, not good enough, it became his father's anthem. It was this constant, crushing voice of disapproval that just echoed in his head his whole life. Okay, so slow didn't work, so he tries a new tactic. Maybe softer? He poured everything he had into every single note, changing his style, just hoping this time would be different. And you guessed it, the exact same verdict. It was this horrible, soul-crushing cycle of abuse. It didn't matter how he played, slow, soft, loud, strong, the result was always rejection. It was never, ever good enough. So you take all that childhood trauma, and then, as he grows into this incredible artist, life throws the ultimate devastating curveball at him, the loss of his most essential tool. And this is where it all becomes just so unbelievably tragic. On one side, you've got the artist, a man whose music was so full of fire, it was said to have more passion than the music of angels. And on the other side, you have the man who was completely deaf, totally cut off from the very sounds he was creating for the world. Just stop and think about that isolation for a second. Imagine pouring your entire soul into your work, creating something that brings thousands of people to their feet, cheering and crying, and you hear none of it. He couldn't hear the applause, he couldn't hear the praise. He was literally surrounded by love, but trapped in total silence. But here's the incredible thing. Out of all that pain, all that silence, came something absolutely extraordinary. His music wasn't just pretty notes on a page. It was a physical, almost cosmic force of nature. The way the poem describes his music, it's not gentle, it's an invasion. It's this powerful military force, an armada, that marches right into your nervous system, as loud and as undeniable as cannon fire. And what happens when this musical armada hits you? Well, it detonates. His symphonies would just explode inside you, turning every molecule in your body into what the poem calls explosions of heavenly sensation. It was this deep, visceral experience for anyone lucky enough to hear it. And the imagery, it just gets bigger from there. It becomes cosmic. The poem uses this absolutely incredible hyperbole to show you the true scale of his work. This wasn't just music for a concert hall. It was powerful enough to shake the entire universe, to literally make the stars fall from the sky. So, the big question is, how does a man create something that powerful while living in complete silence? Well, it took this intense, almost fanatical devotion that for many people really blurred the line between genius and what they saw as just pure madness. I mean, get this. This is a story of just unbelievable devotion. Beethoven was a man with immense pride. He bowed to no king, no queen, no one. And yet, he literally sawed the legs off his own piano, put it flat on the floor, just so he could press his ear to the wood and feel the vibrations. He kneeled for no man, but he got down on his knees for his art. And that relentless drive for perfection, the one that was beaten into him as a child, it never, ever left him. When he was directing his orchestra and they couldn't create the exact sound he was imagining in his head, he'd hear that same familiar echo. It was his father's voice, like a broken record, telling him yet again, not good enough. You can just picture the scene, right? The musicians in the orchestra are just looking at each other, totally bewildered by this deaf composer, demanding a kind of perfection they can't even begin to grasp. They were left trying to figure out, what's the distance between madness and genius? Is he both? So after all of that, the abuse, the deafness, the genius, how are we supposed to make sense of it all? Well, the poem brings us to this final, really profound conclusion about how we're meant to understand the man behind the music. And this, for me, is the most powerful message of the entire poem. It says that to truly understand Beethoven, you don't actually need to read the biographies or memorize the dates. The real key to his soul isn't found in the history books. And just like that, we're right back where we started. The poem ends with the same powerful word it began with. The man who couldn't hear created this incredible legacy that can only be understood if we do the one thing he couldn't. All we ever had to do was listen. And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. When we're moved by a powerful piece of art, what is it that we're really connecting with? Is it just the pure, sublime beauty of the thing itself? Is it the echo of the artist's suffering that helped create it? Or, more likely, is it the inseparable, beautiful, and painful fusion of both?